My sister-in-law turns out to be my high school bully. I find her later on in life, and you won't believe her new relation to me. I've just met my sister-in-law, and she's a ghost from the past. I've always been a firm believer that you cannot keep on looking back at the past, for it will eat you. I always look forward and do not let my past affect my future, and because of this, I've gotten further in life than I ever thought I would. I've recently started my own company with my best friend, and I'm getting married to the love of my life. In addition to that, I'm in the best shape of my life, and my mental health is pretty good. I have it all, even though in the past I never thought I would have all this. However, life can be a bit funny. It can play such cruel jokes on you that you'll drag you back to the past. Suddenly, all of the confidence that you'll have garnered over the years will mean nothing. You'll be the scared little girl that you once were, and the past will eat you. My past has just come back to haunt me, and I'm, scared. How do I speak up about this to the one that I love? Will he hear me out or just toss me out to the wind? I have no idea. For the first time in a long time, I'm scared. Let me not beat around the bush with these analogies because I'm too afraid to write about her. I have to write about her so that at least someone in the world will know what a monster she is. I recently met my future sister-in-law for the first time in my life. Before then, I'd only seen her in pictures and heard about her from my future husband, Jesse. She's been working out of the country for a couple years and actually flew down for our wedding. The pictures I've seen of her have always been pictures where she's got makeup or a filter, so I didn't really recognize her. But when we had dinner with her just a couple nights ago, I could not shake the feeling that I knew her. I also thought maybe that's the reason she was acting so off with me. She would barely acknowledge me and declined when I asked to hang out with her in the future. She was dismissive and looked down upon me. But I told myself that it was all in my head because had never met me before. And before the end of the night, I found out who she was. She starts to question me about my education, where I grew up, and my family, and as soon as I gave her that information, her eyes narrowed in recognition. She seemed to have an aha moment, like she had just caught a mouse in a trap. She then stood up, came up to me, and hugged me, saying that we went to the same school. When she hugged me, she whispered in my ear, "Glad to see you again, Pox." That's the name that my worst bully used to call me when we were in school. Pox. She used to make fun of the acne on my skin, and that was how the nickname came about. I became very cold and felt it to the bottom of my feet. She squeezed me hard, and I felt true fear rushing through me. How the hell had I ended up falling for her brother? So I had to ask why she had been using a different surname in school. She said that she's been using her mother's maiden name because her father was too long and difficult to pronounce. She's right, Jess's surname is a unique one that's not so easy to pronounce. So I understand why she would change it, and the rest of the dinner was hell for me. The food, it lost all its flavor, and I could not take my eyes off her. She looked so different. Maybe it was the air, or maybe she had surgery. I could have passed her in the streets and not known that it was my childhood nightmare. After a while, I had to excuse myself. I could not sit at the same table with her anymore. So I went home, where I proceeded to have my first panic attack in years. Everything that I worked hard to suppress came back to me, and all the pain that I felt at the hands of that girl was as fresh one once more. She was not a girl, she was the devil herself. Emmeline was her full name. And yes, we were in boarding school together. She bullied me ever since I was a freshman till my senior year. I was a sponsorship kid, coming from a home that was, not too well off. I did not fit in, so she and her friends made sure to let me know all about it. For years, they made my life a living hell. They did all the classic bullying, both at school and when I was at home, and they found out where I stayed and made sure that they were around my neighborhood when school was let out. I could never escape them. Their actions cut me to the very core. I hated myself and could not speak to anyone. My parents could only buy the fact that I fell so many times, and she went as far as to cut my hair one time. She'd been saying that my hair was too nice for a person like me, So she and her buddies cornered me in the bathroom and hurt me. Can you imagine that someone like her actually works with children? That's right, she's a traveling teacher and works with kids all over the world. Jess would, used to talk about her so proudly, saying that she was the apple of his eye. When he described her, he made her seem like a saint incarnate. But when I remember about her bringing me misery, she's the reason why I have some of the scars that I have. She's the reason I refused to come back to school for senior year because I had enough of her and her friends. I only went back because my parents could not afford to pay for another school. So even after that, she gets to have a family that loves her and a good career. Where is the justice in that? Over these 4 days, I barely spoke to my fiancé. He kept on asking me to have dinner with their family, and I lied that I had back-to-back meetings at my company. Since my bestie and I are just starting up, it's believable that it was a busy time. My best friend Lacey knows about what happened, and she's suggesting that I tell my husband that his sister is a bully, and I don't want her at my wedding. But I'm scared to do that. I know that he's very protective of his sister. He's very protective older brother, and he adores his sister. What if he decides that I'm lying because I have no proof that she ever harmed me? He could decide to break up with me and she would have won. My best friend then suggested that maybe I speak to Amy and make sure that she has no bad intentions for my marriage. I figured that was a better option. While I did not want to forgive her and bury her in the past, it was the better alternative. So I asked for the number from Jessie and sent her a message asking if we could meet up. Later that evening, I get a call from her. I was surprised to receive a call from her, to be honest, and she told me that she was going to be brief, not waste any of our time. But she wanted me to know that she did not want me for her brother. She said that even if I dressed better now, had a bit of money, I would never be good enough for her bro. She told me that I had no backbone, I was a weakling, and did not deserve to start a family with him. It was clear that she still felt the same about me and was not even willing to work things out with me for the sake of her brother. Now it makes me think, maybe I should just tell him that I don't want his sister at my wedding. Surely her negativity and bad vibes will bring bad luck to my wedding. It's unfortunate that she turned out to be my future sister-in-law, but I'll not allow her to ruin my life once more. I'll make sure that he knows about her and chooses me over her. She has to know that I'm not some Riley, that she's the bully. I'm a grown woman now, and I can fight back just as hard. Update number 1. I've messed up really bad, and I don't know how to fix this. I thought that was strong enough to fight her, but it turns out that she was much stronger than I was. I was going to tell my husband about her, but then she got to him first. She told him that while we did not know each other in school, she felt lucky that she knew her sister-in-law before her brother. Because of that, she wanted to spend some time with me, get to know me, and be hands-on with me for the wedding planning. I told Jess that I already had my friends. I don't need her help, I have my own friends' help. But he pointed out that I was busy. I could not say no to him, and the words got stuck in my throat, and that's how I managed to get stuck with my sister-in-law. She is, the bossy boots. Took over my wedding planning. Since her parents were paying for everything except the dress, she let me know that, what she said went. In addition to that, she crashed my dress shopping. I had a designer that I wanted to design my dresses, had the fitting and everything planned, and the next thing I knew, he canceled on me. She then told me that before I even bought my own dress, I had to make sure that she was sorted. Thinking this would get her off my back, I gave her my card and said that she could buy her dress. So I get a notification from the bank later on, finding out that she bought more than what I told her she could. I was furious, and the money that I wanted to buy the dress with was gone. I told her to return the clothing, but she told me that it was my choice to give her the card. I told her that I would go to the cops and to her brother, and that was when she told me she needs to show me something. There, she showed me a folder of her brother and pictures with other girls. She then told me when she lived in town still, she had the final say about who her brother dated, and she had been the cause of many of the relationships ending. She said that before she knew who I was, she thought I was not too bad, but then realized that I was just a filthy peasant. She then asked if I really wanted to have an engagement called off by daring to send her to prison. She basically let me know that her brother would have had her back no matter what. And how am I supposed to compete with this? She's slowly making my life a living hell, and there's nothing that I can do to stop her. I do feel hopeless. Leaving my fiancé is not an option at all. Where will I find someone like him? Update number 2. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm going crazy right now because of Amy. Right when I think that she has grown tired of me, she devises a new way to ruin my life, and I don't know how long I can do this. But I'm feeling anxious. So many bad things have been happening recently, and I think even more is going to continue. After she maxed out my card, I could not afford the designer I wanted, so I went to my mother for help. I explained to her what went down, and I could have lied to her and said that I did not have the money because of my business, but why would I lie? My relationship with her is simply not like that. So, we have been telling each other the truth for years, and tell them the truth, even if it hurts. That's what we do. So I told her the truth about who my sister-in-law was and what exactly she was doing. I let her know that I had it under control and she was just trying to get under my skin. She knew that her brother loved me too much to break up with me, so she wanted me to leave him on my own. My mother told my dad, and they both agreed that enough was enough. They were furious, saying that the girl had done enough and maybe I needed to press charges against her for everything that she's doing. She had stolen from me, she had harassed me, both of which are very serious offenses, and they backed each other up and said that she needs to be dealt with. My mom even had tears in her eyes as she remembered how I had always had bruises when I came back home, how I was always depressed but could never say a word till I got, too much. I told them that she was leaving town right after the wedding, so I only had to tolerate her till then. Now I had to focus on my bachelorette party and figured out what to do about the dress. My mom took my measurements and told me that she would get somebody to help her out. I trusted in my mom. She has worked in so many shops and with many seamstresses over the years. She knows where to get the good stuff. Sure, it would not be a designer gown that I did want so badly, but it would be something I would feel beautiful in. I stayed at their house for a couple of more days before I returned home. And as soon as I got home, I get a message from my sister-in-law. She was saying that she hoped that she would be invited to my bachelorette party in a little over a month's time, and she said that, if I did not invite her, that she would show me hell. So then I made a plan. Yeah, I decided that I would have one for me and my friends and one for my family. I would invite her to the family one so that she would not ruin the real one. And the first one I had was the family one. It went well, even though she made sure to throw in some snarky comments as much as she could. So, I ended the night early, went home, and slept. The next night, I went to the hotel that I booked for all my friends, where I knew that we could get to do anything. You know how a bachelorette party goes? Well, it was a disaster. I'd ordered some food already, and only for the wrong food to come out. The worst part was that I'm allergic to seafood, and guess what the main course was? In addition to that, I don't drink. I ordered alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks, but my drinks never arrived. I had to settle for soda pop, because I was too mad just to look for something else. But we decided to make the most of it, and then of course there was a knock on the door. And there, my sister-in-law came in. I asked her what she was doing here, for I did not invite her. She said that she wanted to throw a proper party for me since I clearly sucked at planning parties. No one had to tell me. I know that she was the one who sabotaged my party, and oh boy, I was mad. I pulled her to the corner and asked her what she was doing. She hissed and said that she knew my every move, and this was nothing compared to what she would do to my wedding. I had to be prepared. I wanted to shake some sense into her at that very moment. I mean, heck, I was angry. She then said that she brought me a gift, which was when the male entertainers entered the room. That was it. I've had enough. I refused to sit there and allow her to humiliate me like this. I knew how she was working. She would take pictures and show them to Jess. And, well, both me and Jessie agreed that form of entertainment would not be part of our respective parties. Yeah, some people do it, but not the both of us. My friends all know that, so when they came in, they were shocked and very uncomfortable while she smiled like a Cheshire cat. I decided, you know what? That's it. I left. But of course, she had to put her big foot in it. My best friend came along with me, and some minutes later, the bridesmaid and friends told me that they were going home. They said that they were not comfortable with what just happened because it was never in the program to begin with, and that is how she ruined my party. When I get home, I felt like hell. I was super upset, wondering how to get rid of her, and yes, I prayed for a miracle. Updates number 3. They say that ask and you shall receive. In an unexpected turn of events, I managed to turn things around and expose that bully. All it took was one picture. It turns out that one of my friends has a cousin who also went to school with me. She took a selfie in the room and accidentally caught Amy in it. She got to ask why her cousin was with Amy and her high school bully. That was when she told her that Amy was my sister-in-law, her cousin, Asia. She said that Amy was not a good person and I need to stay clear from her, which was when my friend Jess told her the tea of what happened at the engagement party, and she then asked to reach out to me because she wanted to warn me. But then, when she got my name and surname, she realized that we went to the same school. So she contacted me and told me her story of how she was also severely bullied by Amy and even had to transfer schools. But her story is different because she almost took her own life because of Amy. Amy exposed a secret of hers to the whole school, and that got her even more bullying. I remembered that it happened in my sophomore year when a girl's secret was exposed, and everybody straight up shunned her. I remember feeling sorry for that girl. It was not her fault that her mom was a drunk and lost custody of her. They started to call her a drunk too, and she was getting an education so that she could escape the life that she grew up in. She got very depressed and ended up transferring. Unlike me, she did not bounce back. She did not get to finish school, and instead she was in and out of mental health institutes due to the bullying. She said she had PTSD for so long that it was nearly incurable. But now, yeah, she's doing a lot better. So, she then told me that she still had proof in the letters that Amy sent to her and that the messages that she sent to her, and she was threatening not to reveal them to Amy's mom, but she has them. Finding out that someone else was going through it made me realize that this needed to stop. How many more people were victim of this cruel woman? She would never stop, and I was helping her by remaining silent. If my fiancé was going to take her side, then maybe I don't need to be engaged to him. That was when I knew what I had to do. I told Jessie that we had to talk before we could get married, and this was a week before the wedding, and, where all was at stake. So, in the sit-down with him, I told him the entire truth up until the bachelor party and showed him the little proof that I had. He just sat there and looked at me, and I could tell that he was having a hard time adjusting to this new information. In addition to that, I told him about Asia and what she went through because of Amy. It was a difficult conversation to have, and he was crushed. The man went down on his knees to apologize to me for his sister's behavior, and he told me that it was enough. His father had to find out. He said he would never forgive himself if anything were to happen to me because of her again. So then we went to his father and told him everything, and we also included the fact that his wife knew all about it. He calls up my mother-in-law, and she was a stuttering mess. She said that my sister-in-law was merely a child, but my father-in-law, who is very just and fair, said that she was still doing it as an adult. She had harassed, stalked me, and caused me absolute great emotional stress. She had me scared to even tell my husband about this. My father-in-law apologized to me, and he said that he wished I would have told him about her even sooner. He then asked if he could get in contact with the other victim because he wanted to get more information. Before we left, he also assured me that my sister-in-law was not invited to my wedding because of what she did. In fact, he was thinking of the best way to teach her a lesson. He said that if he raised his kids to have empathy and she was showing a lack of it. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, was crying. She was begging my husband to listen to her, but he didn't want to hear it. She claimed that she had no idea that her daughter was still doing these things or else she would not have supported her. We both knew that was a lie. And my sister-in-law are very, very close. After that, I went home and told my parents everything that happened. They were proud of me for finally speaking up, and I'm going to see them tomorrow when I get to the final fittings of my dress. And from what I've seen, it will look gorgeous. Amy's going to have to see the pictures of my social media and eat dust because she's not invited. To protect my peace, I've blocked her number. I'm sure that she'll have a reaction to not being invited to the wedding, and it will not be a happy one. But hey, do I care? Not at all. I finally won against her. Update number 4. Hey guys, just a quick update to tell everybody what happened at my wedding. It's been a week since I've been married, and I'm still on the honeymoon with Jess. I had some free time today, so just wanted to update you guys real quickly. Everything was perfect, the cake, the dress, the catering, and the decor. Everything went according to plan, and security was tight. So it seemed. But of course, my sister-in-law made sure to make an appearance, even though my whole family told her to kick rocks. She made this appearance right as the priest was starting to officiate. She came out and she said that she would not wait any longer. She needed to convince her brother not to marry me. She even asked if he had gotten a prenup because I was only marrying him for his money and lying to him about everything. He told her to shut up and leave. She was not invited to the wedding at all, but of course she lost it. She became hysterical and said some incoherent things, and she had no shame whatsoever and did not care what anyone thought. In addition to that, she looked like she had not slept in days. It was actually pretty sad. Then suddenly she cried out for a person and just come out and slapped her. She was horrified when she looked and saw that it was Asia, whom, by the way, I invited to my wedding. Asia told her to leave or else she would be dragged out by the security. But did she listen to the good advice that she got? No, of course not, she did not. She pushed Asia and said that she was going to finish her, and then suddenly they were scuffling. That's when a deep and angry voice shouted that enough was enough. He went up to Amy and spoke to her silently. She, on the other hand, shouted at him saying that he had betrayed her and he was going to pay for it. He told her that she had to leave or she would be carried out. She then said that, that he was not her father. He was a sad excuse for it. That was when he said loudly enough for everyone that he had no such daughter like that. He was going to cut ties with her and she would not get any of her inheritance. She was officially out of the family and she had just picked herself out the door. He then called security to throw her out, kicking and screaming. I caught her looking at me with tears streaming down her face. I think it's the first time that I've ever just seen her look so helpless. Well, the rest of the wedding went well with no objections or surprises, and we then got our flight and we're now on holiday. When we come back, we'll be moving into Jesse's apartment together, and we have so many plans for our future, and we'll not let anyone ruin it. Update number 5. Hey guys, I wish I could say that, all the peacefulness when we came home weeks later, but it wasn't. I came to find out that Amy had been harassing Asia on social media. She would not let go of what happened at the wedding and was being too much. Asia wanted to ignore her, but I realized that enough was enough. She needed to learn a lesson, and we were going to treat her how spoiled brats deserve to be treated. Therefore, we opened up 2 cases of harassment against her. The great part is that my father-in-law backed us. He paid the best lawyer in town to make sure that she was behind bars by the end of the week. She was given a fine, but she did not have enough money to settle, not after losing her job. My father-in-law called the agency she worked with and let them know of her crimes, even including the one she committed when she was in school. The company took the matter very seriously and decided to let her go. They also conducted an investigation of their own, and because of that, her teaching license was temporarily put under review. I'm sure that once they conclude the investigation, she will have lost. I know her. She's a bully and enjoys being in the power of position. That's probably why she chose to work with kids. And as for myself and Asia, she was ordered to compensate the both of us. Emotional damage. She had money, but not enough money since, her dad cut her off and she tried to beg him to help her out, but he reminded her that she's proclaimed that he was not her father in front of a lot of people. So he did not even help her. He then let me take her away for stalking and harassment, and we both got restraining orders from her. In addition to that, she got 2 years in prison with a chance of parole after 1. I know that it might seem like a short time, but trust me, for her it's going to be a long time. She's the person who is used to her freedom, traveling around the world, and most of all being in control. And there's no such thing as being in control. You're part of the system. No one cares who you are on the outside. At least, that's what my other cousin who once did a bid told me. I'm not sure how many of his tales I believe, though, but I can tell you that he was a different man when he came out of prison. I hope that the same happens to her and she truly changes. The bitterness that she has is so repugnant that it is off-putting, and I just wonder who wronged her for her to become something like that. Her parents are pretty normal and she had a good life, but she chose to torment other people for fun, and I could never understand the mindset of a person like that. But at least now I can breathe a sigh of relief because she's gone. The best part is that she's in prison in another town. I suspect her dad had something to do with putting her so far away from us. Good riddance. So the victim presses charges, Amy ends up in jail, and the entire family cut her off at the wedding for being exposed to be a bully. And you know what? I think she deserved every single bit that she got, and it's really sad that the entire story, OP had to just keep putting up with this because she was scared of the way her significant other, which was the bully's brother, would act when she tells him the truth about what his sister's been up to. I think personally she should have talked to him about it way sooner, but hey, it still ended out working. So let me know your thoughts, how you would have handled the situation in our comment section down below. Guys, thank you for joining me on today's video. If you don't know, I'm Mr. AITA, and I narrate stories every single day. So come back by tomorrow, see what stories we're talking about. I'll see you guys then. Have a fantastic day. And of course, remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.